There is not having, even not having itself in the true origin. Everything is just a formed up. Body, mind, life, inside, outside, everything is a formed up. That which is fixated to the formed up is the suffering of samsara. Therefore, make a conclusion well. Everything is from not having, even not having itself. There is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment. We make up the attachment and the attachment by ourselves. It's the made up. Making up attachment and non-attachment. Nibbana doesn't have attachment or non-attachment. No such thing as having or not having. Nothing or not nothing. There is or there isn't. That is happening is because of the made up. Make it up. It is actually called fabrication. It is called behaviors. The true origin is not behaviors of karma. It's not karma. Therefore, samsara is troubling in the way of karma. Samsara is fixated with the formed up, with the made up. It's the karma in making up. That's why there is the law of karma. It becomes samsara. Realms of existence of samsara is according to the result of karma, the fixation of the made up. The made up is not dissolved itself, therefore it turns into samsara of realms of existence, circling into birth and rebirthing according to realms of existence. Because the made up doesn't discard itself, it's turning into fixation to the made up. That's why it's the circling of karma, creating realms of existence from the Brahma realm to hell realms. Samsara of realms of existence is the place of the circling of the karma and its result of karma. To not relate, even to not relating itself, it's called purification within not relating itself. It's the made up that purifies itself. It will not create karma. The true origin has nothing to do with relating or not relating. Relating or not relating is made up from the opinions and meanings. Let the formed up purify itself. This will not become the circling of karma and its results, not circling on with arising and ceasing. So make up purifying itself, the great compassion purifying itself. It will purify samsara accordingly. Even not grasping is not grasping itself with everything. The word not grasping is of made up already from the opinions and meanings. The true essence, there is no such thing as grasping or not grasping. Even not having doesn't exist.
มันไม่มีแม้กระทั่งไม่มีเอง
Not having doesn't exist.
ทีนี้ก็ทุกอย่างเลยกลายเป็น
And proceed with everything, turning into purifying without traces through the emptiness automatically.
ตรัสรู้ว่ามันไม่มีแม้กระทั่ง
Once
ไม่มีเอง
you are enlightened to
แม้ไม่มี
that
มันก็มี
not having doesn't exist. Even not having exists because it's made up by the opinions and meanings about having and not having. This is made up by the opinions and meanings.
จริงแล้วมันไม่มีแม้กระทั่ง
Actually,
ไม่มีเอง
not having doesn't exist.
ก็เรียบร้อยเลย
That's it.
กลายเป็นไร้ร่องรอย
It turns into purifying through the emptiness without traces for samsara.
สรุปแล้วสรุปไปเลยลูก
Let's purify the conclusion itself right away.
มันไม่มีแม้กระทั่งตัวไม่มีเอง
Nothing doesn't exist. Not having doesn't
พฤ
exist.
ติกรรมทั้งหลายเนี่ย
All the behaviors are just made up totally.
ขึ้นการสมมติขึ้นฐานะในทุกๆพฤติกรรม
Every behavior is made up. It's just made up. It's just fabricating. It's not real. It's temporary.
คือมันไม่มีตั้งแต่ก่อนจะเริ่มแล้วมันไม่จริง
Not having
เริ่ม
doesn't exist even before it's happening.
ทุกอย่างมันก็เหมือน
Therefore, everything is like made up from nothing.
พฤติกรรมอะไรขึ้นมามันก็ดู
Any behaviors has made up is looks real, but actually it is temporary.
เหมือนเดิม
It's dissolving itself as
เป็นอะไร
usual.
เหมือนเดิม
It doesn't become anything as usual.
พฤติกรรมที่โผล่ขึ้นมามัน
The made up behaviors seems to be real, but actually it is temporary
ทิ้งเหมือนเดิม
and is deteriorated, declined as usual.
ก่อนที่มันจะมีมันก็ไม่มี
Before
ตัวไม่มีเอง
there is, there isn't.
ก่อนจะเป็นมันก็ไม่เป็น
Before
ไม่
there is,
เป็นเองก่อนที่มันจะ
it
เป็น
doesn't
มันก็ไม่
become
เป็นไม่ต้องตัวเป็น
even the becoming itself. It doesn't become
เป็น
anything.
ไม่ได้เป็นอะไร
Even before it become anything, it's not.
แล้วก่อนจริงๆเนี่ยมัน
And even before, there is no such thing as before.
ก่อนจริงๆเนี่ยมันก็ไม่มีก่อน
Before doesn't exist.
หลังจริงๆมันก็ไม่มีหลัง
Afterwards
ก็ไม่มีก่อน
or before doesn't exist.
ฉะนั้นท่านจึงตรัสรู้ให้
That's why the enlightenment is given to you. There is no before, no after.
สิ่งที่มันไม่มีทั้งมีทั้งไม่มี
There is no such thing as having or not having.
จึงตรัสรู้ให้
That's why you are given the enlightenment to this point.
ก่อนมีใช่มันก็ไม่มี
Before
ใช่
there is
ไม่
yes,
มีใช่
it doesn't exist.
ก่อนที่จะไม่ใช่มันก็ไม่มีมันก็
Before
ไม่ใช่
there is no, it doesn't exist.
มันจึงตรัสรู้ให้
That's why you are given this
ไม่
enlightenment
ใช่
to you.
นะทั้งใช่ไม่ใช่
Neither is it or it isn't it.
นั่นแหละไม่มีแม้กระทั่งตัวไม่มีเองนะ
Nothing is not, even
พร้อมไป
nothing
เลยทุกอย่าง
itself.
พร้อมกันไปเลยทุกอย่าง
Proceed with everything simultaneously. That's it.
กายช่วยหลุดช่วย
This is even further than helping through releasing and liberation. This is called purification of the emptiness.
มีมันก็เป็นทิฏฐิบัญญัติว่ามีไง
Having
ไม่มี
is
มันก็
just
เป็นทิฏฐิ
a
บัญ
made
ญัติ
up
ว่าไม่มี
opinions.
ทิฏฐิ
Not having is the same. It is called a form up of opinions and meanings. The true essence,
ทั้งมีทั้งไม่มีไง
there is no such thing as having or not having with everything. This will turn into purification of the emptiness without traces only. It's called Nibbana, purifying samsara. Engaging or disengaging, attachment or non-attachment doesn't exist. There is because there is the made up of opinions and meanings. It's made up. It's formed up. It's assumed up. That which has nothing to do with attachment or non-attachment. Because attachment or non-attachment doesn't exist. Relating or not relating doesn't exist. That which has nothing to do with relating or not relating, because it doesn't exist. That which has nothing to do with attachments or non-attachments, because it doesn't exist in the true origin. In Nibbana, there is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment. In Nibbana, there is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment, relating or not relating, engaging or disengaging, having or not having. Having or not having doesn't exist. That's why it's assumed called purifying of the emptiness without traces for samsara. That's why there is automatic purification of the emptiness without traces. There is no such thing as engaging or disengaging. That which has nothing to do with engaging or disengaging, because it doesn't exist. It exists because of the made up, because of the fabrication. It's made up by the opinions and meanings, engaging, disengaging, attachment, non-attachment, having, not having. This is made up by opinions and meanings. That's why you are given the enlightenment that having and not having doesn't exist. So don't be obsessed with having and not having, nothing or not nothing. To be obsessed in such a way is always made up of opinions and meanings. This is called the act of suffering in the made up. With just fixation or non-fixation, having or not having, this is the act of suffering. The act of suffering in the made up, in the assuming up. Having and not having doesn't exist. To be obsessed with just relating or not relating is always acting with the suffering, engaging, disengaging, attaching, not attaching. These are the acts of suffering. Having and not having doesn't exist.
เป็นมันก็ไม่ได้เป็นอะไร
before it doesn't become anything, that it doesn't become, whether it is becoming or not becoming, being or not being. Before there is nothing. Before nothing, it's not nothing. Before having or not having, it doesn't exist as such. Before or afterwards doesn't exist. That's why you are enlightened to the truth that there is not before nor after. That's why you are enlightened to the truth that having and not having doesn't exist. To be delusively obsessed with attaching or non-attaching, this is the act of suffering, that which has nothing to do with attachment or non-attachment, because it doesn't exist. In Nibbana, there is no such thing as attachment or non-attachment, because these are desire decorating opinions and meanings. They are the made up of opinions and meanings. To be obsessed with just engaging or disengaging, attaching or not attaching, this is practicing the act of the suffering. Even emptiness doesn't exist. No such thing as being empty or not. Even emptiness doesn't exist. When your mind is empty like this, like that, because it's made up of opinions and meanings, it's still the act of suffering. Once you say empty, that is the act of suffering, because it's made up of opinions. The thought that is decorating itself, the opinions and meanings decorating itself. Even not having doesn't exist. Nothing doesn't exist.